Listen and practice.
Every year, on February 14th, people around the world say, "I like you," in a special way. They send or give a card to a person they really like. The day is called Valentine's Day. It is very popular in the United States, Canada, and England. In many schools, kids spend part of the Valentine's Day making cards. They give them to friends, teachers, and special people. No one knows for sure why this special day began. It takes its name from a Christian saint called Saint Valentine, but not much is known about him. It's always a good thing to stop and tell someone how much you like them on any day of the year. But it's kind of nice to know that on February 14th, millions of people are doing the same thing you are.
Listen and practice.
"It's easy," yelled my older brother. "Anybody can do it." Anybody but me. I had a new bike, but I kept falling off. I was about to give up. Then my grandmother came outside. "Here, let me show you," she said. We all said, "No, Grandma, you'll fall down. You'll hurt yourself." My grandmother is small, but when she wants to do something, you'd better stay out of her way. My sister helped her get on my bike. Grandma started to pedal. Soon she took off. She rode right down the street. She rode out of sight. We started to worry. Then we heard a bell behind us. Grandma had gone all the way around the block. She got off the bike. "You see," she said, "once you get it, you'll never forget it." My grandma was right. Soon I was riding too, thanks to Grandma, the biker.
Listen and practice.
Patrick loves his cars. In his room, he has toy cars of all makes, models, and colors everywhere. Near his home, there is a toy store. It is Patrick's favorite store. Patrick's grandparents love their little boy. Every time they come to visit, they take him to the store and add a few toy cars to his collection. One day, Patrick's mom said, "You have too many toy cars, my boy. I have to give some of them away." But Patrick begged, "No, Mom, please." A few days later, Patrick heard about an earthquake in Haiti. He felt sad for the kids there. He wanted to help. From his collection, he picked out several toy cars and packed them into a nice box. Then he took out the money from his piggy bank. He sent his cars and the money to the Haitian kids who suffered in the earthquake.
Listen and practice.
Have you ever heard of the expression, cry wolf? Do you know what it means and where it comes from? Here is the story. One day, a boy was looking after some sheep in the fields near a village. He felt bored. It is fun to have people to talk to, thought the boy. Then he came up with an idea. He shouted loudly, "Wolf! Wolf! Help!" The people in the nearby village heard his cries. They immediately dropped what they were doing and came running to help the boy. But there was no wolf. Both the boy and the sheep were safe. So the people returned to their work. Soon, the boy grew lonely again. "Wolf! Wolf!" he cried. Once again, the villagers came to help him, but again, there was no wolf. A few days later, a pack of hungry wolves did come. They were hungry and started to attack the boy and his sheep. The boy was frightened. He cried as loud as he could, "Wolf! Wolf! Help! Help!" But this time, the villagers did not come.
Listen and practice.
English is called an international language, but there are actually quite a few varieties of English that exist around the world. English originated in England, but soon English spread to other countries, and different varieties of English began to exist. Today, the countries in which English is spoken can be divided into 3 groups. The first group is made of those countries where English is the primary language. These are countries like England, Canada, the United States, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. There are more than 380 million native speakers of English in these countries alone. There is a second group of countries that have their own varieties of English. Their histories have been directly influenced by one of the early English-speaking societies. They use English in various important ways within their own government and everyday life. India, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Kenya are examples of this group. The total number of speakers in this group is in the hundreds of millions. In a third group of countries, English is widely used as a foreign language. However, citizens use their native language within their own government and in everyday life. Some countries in this group are China, Russia, Japan, Korea, Brazil, Indonesia, and many Western European countries. Some people calculate the number of speakers in this group to be as many as 1 billion, and it is growing fast. This changing situation raises many questions. Will another language replace English as the international language? If not, will people continue to use the English of countries such as England or the United States as models? Will new varieties of English develop in countries such as China or Brazil? Or, in the future, will a new international variety of English develop that doesn't belong to any one country, but to an entire area, like Asia or Europe?
Listen and practice.
Open your mouth and stick out your tongue. You probably don't think about it a lot, but your tongue is a very important part of your body. Eaten any ice cream lately? Well, you can thank your tongue for the wonderful taste. The top of your tongue has many small taste buds. When you lick ice cream, your tongue sends messages to your brain, and your brain tells you if something tastes good or bad. Your tongue weighs only about 50 grams. It's a muscle, and it does a lot of work for you. It helps you chew your food by moving it around inside your mouth. It helps you swallow by pushing the food to the back of your mouth. Your tongue helps you talk, too. That's right. Many sounds cannot be made without your tongue. Does your tongue ever rest? No. Even when you are asleep, your tongue is moving. It keeps your mouth from getting too dry.
Listen and practice.
Today, Emma was very unhappy. Mom noticed it right away when Emma got off the school bus. What happened? Her best friend Jamie stopped talking to her. Worse than that, he said they were no longer friends. That really hurt. Emma told her mom that she would like to change schools. Mom was surprised, but she said leaving may not be the best solution. You know, something like this could happen in another school too. Would you keep changing schools every time something like this happened? Mom suggested that Emma talk to Jamie and find out what happened. The next day, Emma arrived home from school. She told her mom that Jamie had been upset the day before. Why? Because when he had licked the paper, his tongue got cut. That's why he was so mean to everyone, especially his best friend. The smile came back to Emma's face.
Listen and practice.
House fires kill many people, but there is something you can do about them. Get a smoke detector. Smoke detectors save lives. How? They tell you to get out of a burning house. Many house fires happen at night when people are sleeping. A fire starts slowly. First, there is smoke. A lot of smoke. It's actually the smoke that kills most people, not the fire itself. A smoke detector gives you an early warning about a fire. It makes a very loud noise when there is smoke. It wakes you up so you can get out of the house. That's how smoke detectors work. If you have a plan, you will know what to do. The most important thing is to get out of the house. Ask your parents to get a smoke detector. Ask them to practice what they would do if there is a fire.
Listen and practice.
Dick pulled on his red vest. Today, he and the rest of his class were all going to wear red vests. Why? They were going to clean up trash along the road. They were wearing red vests so that anyone driving a car along the road could see them. Even Mr. Tyler, the gym teacher, was going to wear one. Mr. Tyler gave everyone a black bag. "I want you all to be careful," he told them. "We don't want anyone getting hurt." The boys and the girls worked hard. When the bags were full, the boys placed them along the side of the road. "I didn't think we'd find so much trash," said Dick. His dad was going to take the garbage to the dump in his truck. Seeing the truck loaded with the full bags of trash, the children were happy to have played a part in cleaning up their town.
Listen and practice.
Little Irene burst into tears. She ran to her mom and cried, "My dog lost his nose." Irene's mom tried to comfort her. "It's okay, sweetie. It's a toy dog. It doesn't matter if he has no nose." But little Irene did not agree. "No, he needs his nose. He can't breathe without it." "He will die," Irene said, still crying. "Let me see what we can do." Her mom took the dog and looked. "I have an idea," she said with a smile. "I will give him a new nose, a 4-hole button nose. That way he will be able to breathe in more fresh air." "What a great idea," thought Irene as she watched her mom sew the button on the dog's face. Soon, the toy dog had a beautiful new button nose. "Thank you, Mom. You saved my dog." Irene smiled. She gave her mom a big hug, and all was well again.
Listen and practice.
Some days I feel like a mouse. Other days I feel like a lion. Do you know what I mean? Some days I feel like I can do anything. I can lift anything, run anywhere, and talk to anyone without any fear. But some days I feel small and quiet, maybe even a little scared of everything that is around me. I thought I was the only person who felt these ups and downs. But one day, I talked to the principal in the schoolyard. She said, "I know what you mean." I couldn't believe it. Our principal always seems so strong and happy. She talks to the whole school, and everyone listens. She taught me a little trick. Now, whenever I feel a little unsure of myself, I do this little thing in my head. Promise not to laugh if I tell you? I roar.
Listen and practice.
Long time ago, 3 pigs grew up and left their parents' home. They said goodbye to each other and went their separate ways. The youngest little pig was lazy and did not like to work. The middle pig did not mind working, but always took the easy way. The oldest pig worked hard and always thought before doing something. Each little pig thought about how to build a house. The youngest brother said, I will build my house with grass. It is light and easy to build with. It will make a nice home. His older brother said, Here are many small sticks. They are easy to work with. I will build my house out of sticks. That will make a good home. Then the oldest brother said, There are many dangers in this world. I must build a strong house using stones. And soon the 3 pigs built their houses, and for a while everything was good. One day, a big bad wolf came to town. He was hungry, very hungry. His favorite food was pig. He came to the grass house built by the first little pig. Come out, little pig, for I want to eat you, roared the wolf. The little pig locked his door, but the wolf took a big breath and blew the grass house down. Then he ate the little pig. Next, the wolf came to the house made of sticks. Come out, little pig, for I want to eat you, roared the wolf. The little pig locked his door and hid. But the big bad wolf blew and blew, and the house of sticks fell down. He ate the little pig. When the wolf came to the stone house, he blew and blew. He could not blow the house down, for it was strong. Finally, the wolf gave up and went away. The little pig with the stone house lived a long and happy life.
Listen and practice.
Last winter, I had a bad cold. I could hardly breathe through my nose. In the morning, my mother brought me a little red teapot. Tea? I don't like tea, I said. I know, Mom said, but tea is one of the best things you can drink. It's very healthy. This is a special tea for when you are sick. There was no way out. The tea was strong and bitter. I knew my mom was trying to help me, so I took another sip. Within a few hours, I could breathe through my nose again. Was it the tea? I don't know, but I do know that the next time I am sick, I'll be looking for that little red teapot again.
Listen and practice.
The first Earth Day was on April 22nd, 1970. It was in the United States. A man named Mr. Nelson started it. He wanted people to take care of the earth. People worked on cleaning the land, water, and air. Some people picked up trash. Other people planted trees and flowers. The second Earth Day was on April 22nd, 1990. This time, people all over the world took part. Now we celebrate Earth Day every year on April 22nd. People in Australia clean beaches. People in Jordan and Canada plant trees. People in Russia plant gardens. People in Sweden visit farms. On one Earth Day, people in Japan made soap and postcards out of trash. What will you do on Earth Day this year?
Listen and practice.
Gina is scared. Today, she is going to see the doctor. She is going to get a needle. Gina does not like needles. "It will hurt," she cries. "I don't want to get a needle." Mom says, "Getting a needle is good for you. It will help you stay healthy." The doctor is wearing a white coat. She has a nice smile. The doctor looks at Gina and says, "Don't be afraid." The needle will not hurt. Everyone gets needles. Gina holds out her arm. She is still scared. "Close your eyes and think of something funny," says the doctor. Gina closes her eyes, thinking. She feels a small pinch on her arm. "You are a good girl." It is over. Gina laughs. She is not scared of needles anymore.
Listen and practice.
My mother has a favorite chair. She got it from her mother. This chair is very old. It is the only one of its kind because my grandfather made it. One day, my brother pushed me when we were running through the house. I started to slip and ran right into the chair. One of the legs came off. We were shocked. We could not speak. I called my dad at work. He came home and glued it together. He put a clamp on it to hold it in place while the glue dried. My mom came home. We hoped she wouldn't notice, but she saw the clamp on the chair. We told her what had happened. She was very upset. Luckily, the chair is fixed. Even though that old chair is much stronger now, we are not allowed to run in the house anymore.
Listen and practice.
The best thing about the weather in London is that it's never extreme. It isn't usually very hot or very cold. In the summer, it's sometimes sunny and sometimes cloudy, with temperatures of about 22 degrees. And of course, it sometimes rains. In winter, the temperature is usually between 0 and 10 degrees. It can be windy and cold, but it hardly ever snows. In spring and in autumn, the weather is very changeable. You can have all the 4 seasons in one day. It can be sunny in the morning, cloudy at lunchtime, raining in the afternoon, and then cold and windy in the evening. I always tell tourists to take their sunglasses and their umbrellas when they go out. But one thing you don't often see these days in London is fog. A lot of tourists come to London and say, "Where's the fog? London is always foggy in films." Well, It's true that in the past, that is until the 1950s, London was a very foggy city because the air was really dirty. But today, the air is clean and it's hardly ever foggy.
Listen and practice.
Have you ever been told that you are too short or too tall? Well, don't worry. Everyone is short compared to one man who was born in the United States in 1918. His name was Robert Wadlow. He was the tallest person ever. He was 2.72 meters tall. Life was hard for Robert. When he died at age 22, he was still growing. Today, the tallest person alive is Bao Xishun. He is 2.47 meters tall. Bao is a herdsman from Inner Mongolia, China. He is very famous all around the world. But Bao Xishun is very shy and leads a simple life. His friends call him Xishun, or the big guy.
Listen and practice.
During the week, I get up at 7:20. I have breakfast at 7:45, and then I go to school. I arrive at school at 8:20. It's very close to my house. At school, I have lunch at 12:15. At the end of the school day, I leave school. That's at 2:50. At home, I have dinner with my family. We have dinner at 7:30. I go to bed at 10 o'clock.
Listen and practice.
When George was 6 years old, his father gave him an axe. George chopped many things with his shiny new axe. In his family's backyard was his father's favorite tree. One day, young George cut down the tree. Soon after, his father saw the poor dead tree. He was sad. He was also very angry. He called his son and asked, "Do you know what happened to my cherry tree?" George was frightened. He thought about telling a lie, but he changed his mind and cried, "It was I, Father. It was I who cut it down, your cherry tree." George's father looked kindly at him. He hugged the boy. "I am very proud of you, George. You were frightened, but still you told the truth. You are worth more to me than 1,000 cherry trees."
Listen and practice.
One day, Tom was very bored in class, so he threw a little ball at his friend Dan. Dan threw it back. They started throwing the ball back and forth. One time, Tom threw it too high. Dan had to reach up to get it. By accident, he knocked a girl's glasses off the desk beside him. They fell and broke. Very soon, the two boys were in the principal's office. Dan said they didn't do anything wrong. He blamed Tom. He kept lying and lying, and his face got redder and redder. All of a sudden, he burst into tears. It seemed that Dan just couldn't tell any more lies. At the end, Tom and Dan had to pay for the girls' new glasses. They learned that lying just makes things worse.
Listen and practice.
Irene is 4 years old. She is very smart. She observes everything. Her mom is going to have a baby. One day, her mom asked her, "Irene, do you want a baby sister? You are too lonely." "No," Irene replied. "How about a baby brother?" Mom asked. "No," Irene replied again. "Why? Wouldn't you like to have a sister or brother to play with?" Mom asked again. "I would want to play with my sister or brother, but I just wouldn't want your belly to explode. You will feel so much pain. It's getting so big and round," Irene said. Mom laughed. "Don't worry, my belly won't explode. Why don't we ask Dad to give birth to the baby? He is big and strong," Irene asked. Dad started laughing too. "I'm a man, and men can't do that."
Listen and practice.
Do you enjoy walking on the beach and collecting seashells? I do. Recently, my parents took me down south over the Christmas holidays. We had a wonderful time on a small southern island. When we left Canada, the temperature was -20 degrees Celsius. When we landed at the airport on the island, it was +30 degrees. Yes, we had leaped from winter to summer in just 5 hours. After we checked in at our hotel, we all ran to see the ocean. Amazing! The waves were racing one after another towards the shore. As the water drew away, it left in front of us beautiful shells, shells in various shapes, colors, and sizes. I bent down to pick some up. Soon we had a pile of seashells on the beach. Looking at the seashells, my dad said that each shell showed us a life in the ocean. Imagine how much life there is under the ocean's surface.
Listen and practice.
It was late fall. We were eating dinner. Suddenly, we heard a loud bang. A little bird flew right to the window and then fell to the ground. We ran outside and saw that it was a baby crow. It was alive, but one wing was not moving. It could not fly. My dad picked up the bird. We put it in a box for the night. That one night turned into many nights. We named the bird Max. Max became very friendly to us. He took food from our hands. After a few weeks, his wing healed. Then one day, he flew away. Now, every time I see a crow, I wonder, is that Max? Maybe he will come back for a visit one day.
Listen and practice.
Frank was a fish. He had a good fish life, but he wasn't happy with it. All day he would sit and watch the birds in the air fly from tree to tree. Frank wanted to be a bird, not a fish. Frank swam as fast as he could go through the water and leapt into the air. He felt just like a flying bird until he realized that he was having trouble breathing. He landed back in the water just as he was gasping for his last breath. That was strange, he thought. He jumped into the air again, but this time he got caught in a low branch by the river. He was in a tree like a bird, but he couldn't breathe. He regretted trying to be a bird and struggled to wiggle free. Plop! Frank landed back in the water. After a few minutes, he caught his breath. He swam straight home and vowed to be the best fish he could be.
Listen and practice.
One day at school, we had a class project. Each student had to make a little house out of wooden sticks. But instead of making my house, I talked to my friends for most of the class. The class ended, but I didn't finish my work. My teacher told me to take the sticks home and finish my house for homework. I took the sticks home. I glued them together to make a house. There, it's done. I left my house at the corner of the room to dry. When I woke up the next morning, my stick house was broken into pieces. I was surprised and upset. I looked at the sticks. They had tooth marks on them. They were my dog's. My dog actually ate my homework. I got 0 out of 10 on my stick house project.
Listen and practice.
It was Mother's Day. My uncle's restaurant was very busy. It seemed that every family took their mother out to eat that day. My uncle called me from the restaurant. "Henry, people are lining up outside," he said. "Can you come to help out?" "Sure." I stopped playing my computer game and went to the restaurant with my brother. All we had to do was bring food and water to the tables and take the dirty dishes away when the customers were finished eating. The chefs and their helpers worked like crazy. The kitchen manager called out the orders. The kitchen helpers ran to get things in place. The chefs worked like magic, turning meats and vegetables into delicious food in just minutes. I don't remember how many times I brought things in and out through that kitchen door. I just remember that at the end of the day, my legs were very sore. I was really tired. The next day, I told my friends. It felt like I walked all the way from Ottawa to Montreal.
Listen and practice.
Whales are big animals, really big. Some whales are bigger than elephants. One kind of whale is actually the biggest animal in the world. Whales swim in water. Fish swim in water too, but whales are not fish. Fish can breathe underwater, but whales have to come up to the surface of the water to breathe. Whales can talk to each other. They have a special language. People cannot understand whale talk, but whales understand each other. Today, people are trying to help the whales. There are not many places left in the world where whales can live safely. The oceans are dirty. There are many bad things in the oceans. Whales are getting sick. That's why people are helping them. What can you do to help the whales? Tell people how special whales are. Tell people not to put garbage in the oceans.
Listen and practice.
There are only 26 letters in the English alphabet. It must be an easy language to learn, right? Well, ask anyone who has mastered English, and they'll tell you that nothing could be further from the truth. Although English has only 26 letters, you can make many words with those letters. In fact, English has more words than any other language in the world. How many? About 800,000 words. Give or take a few hundred. English words can be as short as just one letter. The shortest sentence in English is only one word. What is it? Go. This next sentence uses all 26 letters of the alphabet. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. If you are learning English, don't give up. Dig in and enjoy.
Listen and practice.
The world's oldest universities. Many universities around the world are proud to have long histories and strong traditions. However, very few universities can claim to be among the oldest in the world. Nalanda University in Bihar, India, was established around 600 BC. It was most likely the world's first university. In the past, scholars came from Europe, China, and all over India to learn about science, medicine, the Buddhist religion, and other subjects. The university is in ruins now, but at one time it was an impressive school with temples, classrooms, libraries, and dormitories. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the University of Al-Qarawiyyin in Fez, Morocco, is the oldest surviving university in the world. It was probably founded in 859 and became a famous place to study natural sciences. In 1957, after more than 1,000 years as a university, Al-Qarawiyyin added mathematics, physics, chemistry, and various foreign languages to its traditional list of subjects for study. The first university in Europe is definitely the University of Bologna in Italy. It was one of the few universities in Europe that were not influenced by religion. Professors were forbidden from teaching outside the university, and so students came from all over Europe to study with its famous teachers. Since opening in 1088, the University of Bologna has never closed its doors, despite the many wars in Europe. With the success of the University of Bologna, other universities opened across Europe. They were started by kings, religious groups, and former professors. Today, there are so many universities that students don't need to go far to study. They are sure to find one close to home.
Listen and practice.
Do you want to be a famous writer? I do. That's right. I love writing. When our teacher asked us what we wanted to be, many kids said they wanted to be doctors or police officers. But I said, I want to be a writer, a famous writer. Everyone laughed. They didn't believe me. But then our teacher told us a story about a famous writer. His name was Rudyard Kipling. He wrote many great books. Even today, people all over the world love his stories. When Mr. Kipling was just a young man, he got a job at a newspaper. But his boss didn't like his stories. He sent him a letter saying, "I'm sorry, Mr. Kipling, you don't know how to use the English language. This isn't a kindergarten for amateur writers." But Mr. Kipling didn't stop writing. He went on to become the most popular writer of his generation. So, I am going to keep trying. It's always better to believe in yourself and follow your dreams.
Listen and practice.
This year, my mom made me a new pair of gloves for my birthday. That day, I wore them to the skating rink. It got quite warm. Everyone took off their heavy coats and hats. I took off my new gloves. I put them safely in my jacket and skated around in my sweater. When it was time to go home, I picked up my jacket. But my gloves were gone. I could not believe it. I went home and told my parents. They were upset with me. I felt terrible. Later that evening, the doorbell rang. It was a boy from school. He had the exact same jacket as me. I had accidentally picked up the wrong jacket. "Missing these?" he asked as he handed me my gloves and jacket. I had never been so happy to see a pair of gloves in my whole life.
Listen and practice.
My mom loves music. She wants me to become a pianist. But I like sports. I play baseball every day after school. Sometimes I stay out playing until it gets dark. So when my mom signed me up for piano lessons, I was not happy. Mom said I had to try the piano for 1 year. I went to the first lesson. It was very difficult. My fingers were not good at pushing the right piano keys. They were good at holding a ball. A little girl there saw me struggling. She said to me, "I will help you learn to play the piano if you teach me to play baseball." We became good friends that day. She taught me how to play Beethoven. I taught her to throw a curveball. Now I don't know which I like better, baseball or piano.
Listen and practice.
I like bears. They are strong and powerful. But I have never seen a bear in nature, at least not face to face. Last summer, I went camping in a park with my mom and dad. The man at the entrance warned us to be careful because there could be bears around. I thought he was joking. We had a nice time. We played, fished, and had picnics. There are no bears here, I thought. That night, as I slept in my tent, I heard a sound. I sat up to see what it was. There was a shadowy figure outside my tent. It was a bear! It was eating the food we had left outside. I was terrified. I did not want to meet my favorite animal at all. The next morning, we packed up and went home. Although bears are still my favorite animals, I only want to see them in a zoo.
Listen and practice.
There once was an elephant living in a forest. When summer came, his skin became very itchy. To make things worse, the flies came to bother him. He used his long tail, ears, and even his trunk to swat at them. But there was a spot on his back that he could not reach. One day, a fly was on the elephant again, licking the salt off him. It was a spot that the elephant could reach. Just as the elephant prepared to kill the fly with his tail, he had an idea. He said, "Fly, I could kill you with my tail right now, but if you scratch my back where I can't reach, I will let you sit on me and eat all the salt you want." The fly buzzed. Sure! It flew to the top of the elephant's back and started working. The elephant smiled when his itch was finally scratched. And he learned an important lesson. Sometimes, if we try, the worst of enemies can become the best of friends.
Listen and practice.
There's an old saying, "A little person doing the right thing is more powerful than a giant." I learned the exact meaning of this the other day. On our street, there lives a very big man, Mr. Boos. His house and yard are a mess. One day, my mom and I were walking past his house. There were bottles on the ground everywhere. The grass had not been cut for weeks, and the garden was full of garbage. My mother, who is very small, said to the huge man, "Mr. Boos, this yard is terrible. We're going to help you clean it up." So all of us, including Mr. Boos, worked for about an hour. Then the strangest thing happened. His yard became clean and neat. On top of that, Mr. Boos didn't hate the cleaning anymore. Now he has the most beautiful garden in our neighborhood.
Listen and practice.
Little Dan has a big question. On his stomach, there is a round, funny-looking bump. What is it? It is his belly button. But why does he have a belly button? Dan asks his father. His dad says, "Everyone has a belly button." Dan thinks this is very interesting. "But why do we all have belly buttons?" he asks. "Before you were born, you lived inside your mommy," explains Dad. "You needed food and air, but you could not get them on your own. So there was a cord on your belly that attached you to your mommy. Mom shared her food and air with you." This is very interesting, thinks Dan. "When you were born, the doctor cut this cord because you did not need it anymore," says Dad. "Your belly button is the place where this cord was attached to you." Dan is happy. He has solved the mystery of the belly button.
Listen and practice.
It was a hot summer day. Amy did not feel like doing anything at home. "I'm hot. Can I go swim in the pool?" asked Amy. Mom said, "You may swim after you finish your chores." Amy swept the floor quickly. "I'm so hot. I want to cool off in the pool." "You may, but only after you finish your chores," Mom insisted. So Amy washed the dishes. "I'm too hot," said Amy. "I just want to go swimming." Mom handed Amy $2. "Good job finishing your chores, Amy. Here's your allowance for this week," said Mom. You can go swimming now." "The ice cream truck!" yelled Amy. Amy ran down the street with her $2. She bought an ice cream bar. She sat down on the curb and licked the cold, sweet treat. "This is even better than swimming," said Amy, "especially since I earned it all myself."
Listen and practice.
Mom was on her way to the kitchen. Just then, she heard Sarah say, "Let's surprise Mom today." So, Mom hurried back to bed. She didn't want to spoil the children's surprise. In the kitchen, Sarah made toast with lots of jelly on top. Mark cooked some eggs and put them in the prettiest dish he could find. Bill poured a big glass of orange juice. Then they put everything on a tray. Away they marched to Mom's room. Sarah, the oldest of them, carried the tray. Mark played his tin horn, and Bill played his drum. "Is this breakfast parade just for me?" asked Mom, very surprised and happy. "Yes!" Sarah, Mark, and Bill were happy too, because they had finally made their mom breakfast in bed.
Listen and practice.
My uncle took a picture during his trip to Asia. It was taken on the sidewalk of a busy street. In the picture is a boy with a pencil and a notebook. He is working on his homework. There is no desk and no chair. He is using a stool as his desk. Around the boy are his father and mother. The father is pointing to the book, trying to help. The mother is smiling and watching them closely. Beside them is their family business, a bicycle repair stand. It seems that the parents do not have much education, but you can see that they care strongly about their son's schoolwork. Their eyes are filled with hope. Bicycles, cars, buses, and people are passing by in the picture, but this family is not disturbed by the noise. To the family, the son's studies seem to be the center of the world. I was really touched by this picture.
Listen and practice.
Once there was a boy who could not stop talking. All day long he talked and talked. He had no friends. Why? Because he always talked and never listened. Words came from the boy's mouth all day long. The boy asked his father, "Why don't I have any friends?" He wanted so much to have friends. His father said, "Listen, my son. Do you hear the frogs in the pond? They never stop croaking. They croak all day. They croak all night. But does anyone really hear them?" The boy agreed that nobody listened to the frogs when they croaked. "Early tomorrow morning, the rooster will crow," said the father. "He crows only at this time, but everyone listens to him. He wakes us all up from our sleep." The boy understood. From then on, he would be like the rooster, a boy of few words.
Listen and practice.
John is excited and scared. He is starting at a new school today. He doesn't know anyone at the school. No one talks to him, and he sits all by himself at lunchtime. No one wants to be his friend. That night, John's father has a surprise for him. It is a puppy. John is very happy. Now he has a new friend. The puppy sleeps in a bed next to John. The next day at school, John tells his class about his new puppy. He shows everyone a picture of the puppy. One boy puts up his hand and asks, "Can I come to your house after school and see your puppy?" John says, "Yes, you can come and meet my friend." After school, the two boys go to John's house and play with the puppy. John is happy. Now he has 2 new friends.
Listen and practice.
I live downtown. My home is only 2 blocks away from the busiest street in the city. One day, our teacher gave us some homework to interview people in different jobs. How interesting! I couldn't wait to start my homework. First, I went to a tailor shop. Mr. Moe had been a tailor for more than 20 years. He was very busy fixing a pair of pants for a lady. Mr. Moe cut the fabric with his magic scissors while we talked. "10 minutes later, the old lady left the shop with a big smile on her face. My second stop was Miss Ricci's bakery. The bakery shop was warm, and the air smelled delicious. There were many treats. Miss Ricci gets up at 5:30 a.m. every day. By 7 a.m., all the breads are ready and her store opens. After the bakery, I visited a grocery store, a clinic, a flower shop, a bookstore, and a clothing shop. Oh, I love my neighborhood.
Listen and practice.
Tommy was a young boy. He was eager to start school. Every day he would ask his mom, "Is today the day I go to school?" "No, not yet," his mom would say. This went on for months. Finally, one day, his mom said, "Yes, today is the day you go to school." Suddenly, Tommy felt scared. He didn't want to be away from his mom. "No, I'm not going." He ran upstairs and hid under his bed. He heard his mom calling him, but he didn't answer. Then his mom came to his room. "Are you under the bed?" she asked. "No, I'm not," said Tommy. Mom laughed. She pulled Tommy out. Then she sent him to school. She stayed there for a little while. Other mothers were there too. At the end of the day, Tommy came out of the school with a big smile on his face. He was very glad he went.
Listen and practice.
One day, Tommy and his brother Alex went swimming. As they got close to the swimming pool, they saw something strange. A man was jogging in the water. The two brothers were very curious. Tommy asked the man, "Why are you jogging in the water, not on land?" The old man smiled and said, "Well, that is simple. Running in water uses the same muscles as running on land, but it is much easier on my knee joints." "Why do you prefer jogging to swimming?" asked Tommy. "Jogging is slower than swimming, but it is more tiring. It is also more difficult to keep your balance while jogging in water. And it's just as good for the heart, lungs, and muscles." The two kids happily jumped in the water. They learned that jogging in water is a fun way to get fit.
Listen and practice.
Let's all think about this. Almost every country in the world celebrates Mother's Day. Isn't that amazing? Australia, Canada, Brazil, China, Bulgaria, Germany, Greece, Japan, Italy, Mexico, India, Portugal, Sweden. The list goes on and on. Although different countries celebrate this special day in different ways, they all recognize the importance and role of mothers in society. On this special day, we all honor our mothers and their contribution to this world. We do things to show them that we value and love them. It's one of the greatest things we can do to show them we care and appreciate everything they have done for us. So, next Mother's Day, do something special for your mom.
Listen and practice.
Mr. Smith grows beautiful flowers in his flower shop. Recently, he hired a young man who didn't seem very happy with his life. One day, Mr. Smith received a call. A girl wanted some special flowers delivered to her the next day. It was going to be her birthday. The next morning, Mr. Smith cut 20 fresh roses and asked his new employee to deliver the flowers. 30 minutes later, The young man came back with a big smile on his face. "Why are you so happy?" Mr. Smith asked. "I learned something beautiful," the young man replied. "The girl who ordered the flowers is blind. She told me that although she cannot see the flowers, she can just imagine their beauty. She can touch and smell the flowers. They make her happy." The young man gazed at the flowers all around the shop and said, "For that, I am happier than before."
Listen and practice.
When I meet someone for the first time, I like to try to find something we have in common, something that's the same about me and the other person. Maybe we like the same food, or we go to the same school. For example, when I meet another university student, I might ask, "Have you ever taken a class with this professor before?" If we find something in common, we have lots to talk about, and the conversation continues.
Listen and practice.
Some people only talk about themselves and they don't ask questions about the other person. But I think it's important to ask about the other person too. When I meet someone new, I usually try to ask the other person questions and make small talk to get to know them. Small talk means just talking about everyday topics. For example, I say, "So, where are you from?" Or, "What do you do?" Or, "Are you a baseball fan?" Nothing too serious or too personal. I think asking about other people shows them you're interested in meeting them.